evaluation of all of our systems and procedures. So this would be both an in-house and an out-house investigation. We will engage our suppliers and our interstate transporters in discussions to determine what can be done to ensure that the supply is available without interruption in the future. Finally, we will, along with the investigating bodies, explore all options to provide for alternative supplies, including LNG plants, propane air systems, additional underground storage, additional above-ground storage. Each of these obviously are very, very expensive options, but they should be discussed. Mr. Sanders and Mr. Oostman can explain further if there are any questions about those specific points. But like I say, I think that will be discussed at these upcoming hearings. Next point, the fund. Because of what has happened and because of the disruption of the lives that this has caused, on Monday, New Mexico Gas Company decided, not because we had to, not because we were asked to, not because of any perceived legal obligation to do so or liability to do so, but simply because we recognize the pain that the people in New Mexico were suffering because of these disruptions, that we would contribute $1 million to a fund to compensate customers for uninsured and unreimbursable damages and claims. Now, we are in the process of arranging a way to compensate people through this fund. This is not easy. People are naturally filing claims with the government for whatever government assistance there is, with their insurance company for recovery of insurable property damage claims, and with us. I would do the same thing if this had happened to me. And obviously that presents the problem of how do you sort through all of those claims and so forth. That's what we're trying to work through right now. It will take time. It will take time to get this sorted through and to get money out of this fund. But we promise that this $1 million will be distributed to compensate people for their damages. I was, even yesterday, speaking with the Attorney General's office about how to work this through the system to make sure that it's effective, fair, reasonable, and gets money to the people that need it. As a result of all that we did, the system has balanced itself and is back to normal operating procedures. As you know, we just went through that recent storm, and there were obviously no problems. As we meet today, all of the service has been restored in New Mexico. 28,707 customers lost service. Most, essentially, for all practical purposes, that service was restored Tuesday throughout the day, mostly by 10 in the morning, but there was work all through Tuesday. New Mexico Gas Company has 750 employees. We have offices throughout the state. Those offices are staffed by people like Carol and others who live and work in the very communities that were affected by this outage. At the height of our effort, we had 650 utility workers and plumbers and pipe fitters working alongside of another 100 to 125 administrative and support people in the offices. We had people from our gas company. We had plumbers and pipe fitters from Union 412. We had workers from other utilities around the country that flew in to help us pursuant to mutual aid agreements we have with other utilities. We had many local contractors from the affected towns who we solicited to help us in this recovery effort. We owe all of these people our thanks for helping us get this system back up. We worked very closely with the National Guard, police, and firefighters from around the state, and as Carol has described, the many, many, many volunteers in the communities who helped all of those that were. We sincerely like to thank all those people. From the very beginning, Governor Martinez offered us the full resources of the state, including the National Guard. She could not have done more to help us in this effort, and we express our sincere thanks to her for all of that. We also want to thank all of the elected officials from all of these states and communities who worked with us and have supported us in what has been a very difficult time for all of us, and particularly the customers who lost their service. We tried to work closely with community leaders to provide emergency shelters and assistance as Carol has described. I know there have been some angry moments and some expressed hostilities and so forth. I think that's understandable, and hopefully we can work together to try to put that behind us. To the people in New Mexico who lost their service, to your constituents who are angry, and to our customers who are angry, I say on behalf of every employee of New Mexico Gas Company that we are sorry for what happened. We apologize to them for the disruption of their service, and we will work to make sure that this does not ever happen again. I think it's important for them to know, frankly, that the events of last week occurred despite our best efforts. If we made mistakes, we apologize for those, but they were mistakes. I would finally like to thank them for their patience and their cooperation throughout this whole effort. I've heard stories about the help that they gave our workers and so forth, and when something like this happens, we know it disturbs the state, and we truly want to try to work together